guys! Today I'm going to be, ugh, that sounded so gross. Hey everyone! Hey guys! It's finally here, the January Q&A. I know that I said it was going to be December Q&A, but I didn't have enough time to film it, so it's going to be a January Q&A. So anyway, but it's finally here. You guys really requested for me to make a Q&A. I haven't actually made a Q&A since October, which is kind of sad. So yeah, moving on. So I'm going to be answering your questions today. Not all of them, since I'm going to be splitting this into two parts since I want to make sure that I get enough information in. So yeah. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. I don't know what that was. Alrighty, so let's get started with the questions from YouTube. First of all, Kelton Allen asks, how many credits do you have and how many are required for graduation? At least at my school, we are required to have 24 credits for graduation, so kind of like 6 credits per year, basically. And I have 19 credits right now, so technically once I finish this school year, I could be done with high school as a junior, but I don't really want to be done with high school because I'm pretty young as it is, so yeah. Alexander Herrera, question for Q&A. Hey, so I got a 1550 on the recent SAT I took. Good job! And I'm trying to go for a perfect score. What tips can you give me to avoid careless mistakes during the test? Well, first of all, I just want to say I haven't actually taken the SAT yet, so we'll see how many careless mistakes I make on January 21st. But anyway, so I've taken several practice tests, so I guess the way that you avoid careless mistakes is tip number 1. This is obviously kind of basic, but I recommend to actually get some sleep the night before, because if you're so close to a 1600, then it basically means that you're on the level of mastery of the SAT, and you just have those few questions that are keeping you from the perfect elusive score. So try to get some rest so that your brain is actually working, because yeah, that's kind of crucial. And also try to not be too distracted by something the night before or the morning of, and just be really focused on what you're doing. And then, if you're making completely careless mistakes and it's not just like a particular type of question that's, like, if it was a particular type of question that was really confusing you, then probably you would just want to keep doing those kind of questions and doing more and more of them practice questions so that you basically experience all of them that you can. But if they're like completely careless, I cannot speak today, sorry guys. If they're completely careless mistakes, like you forgot that 4 divided by 2 is 2 and instead you put 4 divided by 2 is 3 and then that screwed up your calculation, then that's mainly just focusing. And also definitely do timed full tests, because that also kind of helps work on your stamina, if that makes sense. So yeah. Okay, Christian Williamson, what are some ways you study for AP Chem? Tips for people whose teachers don't teach them, because I'm in AP Chem and my teacher slacks off a lot. Also, how is foreign language APs different than others, than your opinion? Anyway, so tips for AP Chem. Well, first of all, I dropped AP Chem because, well, I explained that in a previous video. But anyway, so I didn't really I got through 3/4 of the first semester. Or like half of the first semester. Yeah, it was like half. So I'm not really setting it for this year, but I'm probably going to take it next year. But based on what I learned during the first half of the semester and from tips from my friends, is that first of all, using a prep book is really useful because it just kind of condenses everything that we're learning in class, and I actually used a prep book while I was learning AP Chem. I used the Princeton Review one, so that also. Second of all, there's a lot of really nice YouTube videos. You can just type in AP Chemistry into YouTube and there's gonna be tons of different resources. So if you're more of a visual audio learner, then that might be really helpful too. And then how is foreign language APs different than others? They're harder usually. Based on my experience, usually AP foreign languages are kind of harder than the regular ones, apart from Latin, since, no one is native in Latin usually. Anyway, but yeah, so apparently the actual AP exams are a lot harder. The actual classes aren't harder in my opinion, but yeah. So usually the AP exams are kind of harder, but the AP exams also usually have like a vocal part to them, so that's another difference. Moving on to the Instagram questions. Ruby Esmeralda asks, AP versus IB, which is better? I don't know, because I've never done the IB program, so I have absolutely no idea how it works or anything about that. So yeah. Basic Studies asks, what should I know before taking an AP class online? You should definitely know that it's not easy, because usually you have a lot of assignments and you have to turn in at least like 3 to 5 a week. And second of all, it's pretty hard because when you have homework from classes on top of extracurriculars and all that, you don't really feel like doing your AP class on the weekend or whenever you would plan to do it. And you kind of procrastinate, and then it kind of goes like that. So you have to be really disciplined, basically, when you're taking an AP class on. Tyan Wyeth, I have no idea how to pronounce that, sorry. What do you do when you face ugly handwriting or have made mistakes when you're writing notes or in your bullet journal? First of all, if you're using a pen, well, first of all, I actually mostly use erasable pens because they're erasable. Anyway, at least when I'm writing my notes in school in pen. And but if you're making a mistake in obviously regular pen, you can always use whiteout because it's the best thing ever. Words. Anyway, so yeah, I definitely recommend using that. And then I have a handwriting video, so you can watch that for ugly handwriting. And anyway, no handwriting is truly ugly, because mine is pretty ugly when I'm really rushing for finals too. So anyway, OctoKels asks, do you use any tech to help you study or keep track of things? Like personally, I keep my planner and bullet journal on my iPad Pro. Do you do something like that? I sometimes make, sorry, I accidentally tagged someone. I sometimes make lists on my phone, like if we're on vacation or just like I don't feel like writing them down, or like just things I need to remember, like people I need to text or people I need to email about something, or ideas. I usually put them down in my phone just because it's easier. But like overall, I don't really keep that much stuff on my phone. I usually do it by hand. Careless asks, how do you keep your money for buying so many stationery? I actually don't buy any of my stationery. My friends and family buy it all for me on Christmas and my birthday. Or like, you know, maybe if there's like a random special occasion, like someone will give me something. But yeah, use those connections, guys, if you want stationery. Anyway, okay, Springs.06. Do you speak French? I'm French. What are your favorite shops for study materials? I do not speak French, although I do want to learn French one day. One of my goals in life, just like overall, is to learn, to be fluent in Russian, Spanish, and French, apart from English, obviously. Yeah, so I'd like to learn French eventually. What are your favorite shops for study materials? Amazon. If I ever buy stationery, it's from Amazon. So, because it's cheap and also really easy to find. So yeah. Also, okay, let's see. Early Bird Ray. What do you do to try to stay motivated while studying? Any tips on how to be an effective student? I guess just keep your priorities straight. So like, I already recommended this, well actually this was on Instagram, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, I have recommended this before, but I definitely recommend making like a little mini, I guess, bulletin board or something where you keep like all of the things that motivate you on there. It's kind of like a dream board, but not as cheesy, I guess. So just like image of your dream college and like motivational quotes and straight A's and things like that, whatever motivates you. I definitely recommend doing that. Also, I guess just, yeah, every time you feel like you're not motivated to study, just think about what will be the cost if you don't study, you know, like worse grades, you know, like bad feelings inside about your self-confidence, etc. And, you know, what you'll gain out of it, you know, good grades, self-confidence boost, things like that. Any tips on how to be an effective student? Yeah, basically, I mean, the current thing I use is using the Pomodoro method, which I really like, so I recommend you check that out. I might actually make a video about it someday, but yeah, I recommend using that method and trying to get things done the second you get home from school, because otherwise you're gonna end up spending most of the day watching Netflix up until 7 p.m. and then realizing that you have 5 tests tomorrow. That's not good. Anyway, okay, moving on. What can I do when I feel a mind block? I don't really know what a mind block means, but I guess you can try to do something that relaxes you or is fun or something different from your routine. From your routine. Anyway, if that makes sense. Shujana. 3 A's on the end. Okay. What do you do, I'm assuming, to keep yourself not distracted while studying? Turn off your computer and phone. Okay. And last question from marchbreeze.rhl. How do you memorize your notes / contents? I'm assuming contents of my notes, or I guess textbooks. Well, I memorize things by writing them down. I just write them down over and over again. So I kind of like rewrite my notes before an exam. And I know that's time consuming and lots of people say, don't do that, it's too time consuming, blah, blah, blah. And I totally, you know, everyone has different methods, but I personally have to write things down to memorize them. I can't really just like skim through something and remember it. So that basically, whatever I write down, I will remember. That's kind of how it works. So I literally just like write down stuff. And if I really don't have time, then I do highlight. Like, I have to be actively involved with my notes somehow. I can't just like read over it. I'm gonna forget everything. I have to like then highlight and then maybe take little notes in the margins and stuff like that. Something to just, I guess, get my brain kind of focused on what I'm doing. Okay, Nick's Pio, I don't know. Anyway, so I keep tagging people accidentally and then it brings me down to the bottom. Okay, so I want to take macro or microeconomics. I love those classes. I took them my freshman and sophomore year and they were awesome. As my first AP exam this May, and I want to know if the Princeton Review alone will do me good on the AP exam. I heard there was a Noble review book. Not sure that I should trust it. What other resources would you need for 5 on the AP exam? So yeah. And also, how much should I study daily with a book? So I took my both classes online and the online classes were terrible. So I basically had to self-study for them by the time May came around because I didn't really understand economics up until that point. So I understand you. I bought 2 books and I used them both years. The Princeton Review one and the Barron's book, because I always recommend getting 2 books because usually one book has some aspects that are not in the other book and the other book has some aspects that are in the other book and so on. So they kind of like complement each other. So I recommend getting both. And I didn't use the Noble review book, so yeah. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, I recommend getting those 2 books and I studied for like a week and a half before, but I did macro freshman year and micro sophomore year, so you might want to spend a little more time studying them both. But yeah, that's what I recommend. Like maybe spending 3 weeks in advance going over the books. So yeah, that's it for this part 1 of the Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a big thumbs up so that I make more Q&As, because, you know, we haven't had one for like 2.5 months. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.